Before I read these charges to Claudette Yvonne Cameron, who is no longer with the last name Stewart but used the last name Stewart from 1994 all the way until she was asked to remove the last name Stewart in 2022 from her identification process by ALRICK Stewart, in whom we now know is that of Barack Obama. He asked her to remove the last name Stewart from her identification process, and she has done that, and she had to do that by July 2023. Yes, she has done that. However, let me report that there has been another arson attempt in my home this morning. As a matter of fact, at the time of 9 a.m., there was an arson attempt in my home in the room closer to, as a matter of fact, right beside the laundry room. And right now at 9:21 a.m., and today's date is Monday, April 14th, 2025, I can currently smell, coming from that room right by the laundry room, carbon monoxide. Now, I can tell you that I did make a mistake this morning. I moved my Instapot to put the Toastmaster on the front stove. The back stove, it turned on with the Instapot, so I quickly moved the equipment when I realized there was smoke coming out of the stove, and I turned the stove off. I also watched the smoke dissipate, and that took about 30 seconds, and right after the smoke dissipated, the moment I turned on the kettle to finish making my coffee this morning, April 14th, 2025, the fire alarm came on, and the entirety of the fire alarm went off, which means the fire alarm at the top floor went off in the main part of the home, and the fire alarm to the garage went off, as well as the fire alarm to the basement, which read that there was an attempt this morning by persons in the room closest to the laundry room to set a house fire on purpose. So that is my first report this morning, is that there was an arson attempt in my home this morning, Monday, April 14th, 2025. Now let's move on to my second report, which is a report that is not a report that I should be making, but it's a report that I have been watching activism and behavioral aspect into, and I can finally make this report with evidence of facts into the report, not only with visual evidence. I can make it with paper written evidence. I can make this report with evidence via camera, which is also another form of visual evidence. I can make it with recording evidence and knowledge of the fact that I am, without a shadow of a doubt, filing these charges against Claudette Yvonne Cameron, Merle Grove High School, in the form of using Merle Grove gatherings for the charges of child abuse and attack. So, let me get into the charges and the charges being read. Claudette Yvonne Cameron, James Westbrook, Aseptic Scott, in accordance with Merle Grove Student Association. Child rape through AGOT gatherings. Murder, verbal abuse, physical assault, medication contraband use, child abduction, child rape, money laundering, financial fraud through Royal Bank of Canada, home invasion, break-and-enters, street drug making charges, hiring people to pretend to be Taylor Swift to attack me for money for Merle Grove Student Association gathering with the charges previously read, Claudette Yvonne Cameron, no longer of the last name Stewart. And once again, what are the charges being adhered to for hiring people to pretend to be Taylor Swift in 2025 to attack me for Merle Grove Association funding, child rape through AGOT gatherings, murder, verbal abuse, physical assault, medication contraband use, child abduction, child rape, money laundering, financial fraud through Royal Bank of Canada, home invasion, break-and-enters, and finally, street drug making charges. Claudette Yvonne Cameron, you have therefore been charged with the final assessment of the death penalty, falsely claiming Merle Grove Association through the Jamaican Canadian Society or the Jamaican Canadian Association in the fact of child rape turned to murder, as well as child abduction. With that being said, my name is Cherie Stewart, and I am the one reading out the charges as well as the concerns in my home to the public as well as to the Ontario Fire Marshal. Today is April 14th, Monday, April 14th, 2025, at the time of 9:26 a.m. Current date, current time, current year. Thank you.